folks, and welcome back to another episode of Friday Night Spotlight, brought to you by 911 Air Repair, your local air conditioning expert specializing in maintenance, repair, and new installations. Well, our game of the week, we're just going to jump right into it, is the Gila River Bowl. We are talking Santan, Foothills, and Florence. I know we just recently talked about these two teams, but the way things are going, I feel like we're just going to bounce around between like maybe 5 teams overall throughout the season. So hey, we're talking about Florence again, and the Gophers so far are off to a 3-0 start. They have been able to win those clutch games. They defeated Chandler Valley Christian, a big deal here in Pinal County, especially at the 3A level, because Valley Christian has kind of become like that Achilles heel for so many teams in so many different sports. So the Gophers got that win, and then just last week they traveled all the way to Stafford, and although they started off kind of slow, they managed to come out with the win. David, you were able to see Santan Foothills last week. Just what are you expecting from the SaberCats?
Well, first of all, Valley Christian really isn't an Achilles heel. More like a nemesis for all of our sports, regardless of what the sport it is. Valley Christian always likes to beat up on Pinal County teams. But on this game itself, this is going to be a really run-heavy team and a run-heavy game for both sides. Santan Foothills really likes to run the ball. They have a plethora of running backs along with their quarterback, Dalton Norman, who really relies more on his feet than he does his arm. And this is kind of the scheme of the offense that it has been so far. They don't really have the talent at the receiver level, and Dalton Norman's still kind of working on being a quarterback and being a signal caller, so they're going to rely on running the ball and kind of pounding the ground and trying to, manage the time possession of the game. And the same thing for Florence. Logan Stenson, their quarterback, is a really solid quarterback, but he's so much better when he's a runner because he's done so well for them, and him and Malik Smith have been incredible for them so far. Both have over 300 rush yards so far this season. Both have 4 rushing touchdowns, so both teams are going to rely on the run a lot. And it's just going to come down to what defense can stop them. Santan Foothills had their hands full with Santan Charter last week. They were able to do whatever they wanted to against them, and it really was a tough time on the defensive side. But one high mark was for them, Michael Cruz. Michael Cruz had a really good game for them, had an 80-yard passing touchdown on a completely open play for their lone score of the game last week, as well as an interception in that team. So look out for him on both sides of the ball. He's going to have a defensive presence, both not necessarily in the passing game of Florence, but in the run game, kind of moving up into the box and trying to stop them as much as they can. But this should be an exciting matchup. I am going to take Florence in this one. I just think they're the stronger team right now so far. They have high expectations for themselves going through this year in the 3A playoffs. I expect them to come out of here with the win and another addition to the Gila River Bowl.
So the key here for this game is whoever controls the clock is going to win the game. Like David mentioned, these teams are both heavy with their running scheme. However, I think Florence does have the slightly upper hand here because of Logan Stenson and his passing ability. So far this season, he has 400 passing yards, exactly 400, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. However, of his 19 completed passes, 5 of those have gone to his younger brother, Wyatt. Wyatt has 169 receiving yards. He's been on the opposite end of those 3 touchdown passes. So, hey, look for this brotherly connection in Florence, and I think that's kind of going to be the difference maker here for the Gophers. David pretty much covered everything else, so we're going to jump over to our additional games to watch. David, what do you have your eye on?
What can I say? I'm thorough. So my game this week is going to be A-Late Ironwood. I haven't had a chance to catch up with them so far this season, but I haven't had to because they're doing really well so far. Already undefeated, 3-0 so far, and there are plenty of playmakers on this team, but there is one that is going to stick out, and it's going to be Aiden Williams. Aiden Williams is one of the best running backs in the state. I don't care if it's big school, small school, he is so incredibly shifty and athletic. He has 641 rushing yards so far this season through just 3 games. That is an incredible usage. When we talked to Lauren Dawson in the offseason, he said he would like to kind of ease up on him just a little bit to kind of give him some fresher legs and not have to rely on him as much. But it doesn't even matter because he's still making his presence felt no matter what the usage is. Aiden Williams is going to be a force for this team moving forward. Come to think of it, it's crazy to think that this team just a few years ago was a bottom feeder, and that now they are a prime spot to be a force to be reckoned with in 3A. Lauren Dawson has completely turned around that program. They are going to be someone we look out for the rest of the year and moving forward, depending on what happens with Williams. I think he's going to be a huge playmaker for them in this game against Sierra Linda, and I think that this team is just on their way to a really solid performance in this year and getting that first playoff win. I think they can do it.
All right, now my game to watch is going to be Combs at Coolidge. We're not really going to talk about Coolidge because, well, they still haven't scored a single point as they're going into their fourth game of the season. However, they will be at home. Finally, their home opener. They are on a new field, so hey, maybe some spark might kind of ignite them, and something might happen. But anyways, talking about Combs, we got to talk about Combs because they are much improved this season. They are healthy. That is a big plus for them, and they have a lot of depth. And going off of last week's game, I don't think anybody had this on their bingo card. Combs defeated Mesa Eastmark 2-0. That safety came all the way in the fourth quarter. So, hey, I mean, going scoreless all the way until the fourth, doing that against Mesa Eastmark, and then getting the win, that's a pretty big deal when you're pretty much any other opponent. So for Combs to do that, kudos to them. And a big reason for that is Gavin Walker. Gavin Walker had that safety for Combs to win the game, and also he's just been phenomenal throughout their first two games so far this season. Looking at his defensive stats, of the team's 7 sacks, he has 3 of them. So, hey, look out for this guy to just put pressure on Coolidge's quarterback and trying to get back into the backfield. Looking at their offense, quarterback Cannon Hale, 67% completion rate, over 330 passing yards, and just kind of his... providing that 1-2 punch along with him in the running game is Isaac Jeffcoat, 227 rushing yards. And then look for Branson Moe. Branson Moe can pretty much do anything, everything for this Combs team so far. 15 receptions, 226 yards. So look for kind of like this little 3-headed monster on the Combs side to do what they do. And hey, I'm sorry, Coolidge. I think it's going to be a rough night for them. But hey, Combs is on the rise. It's a completely different team from last year. So be on the lookout for them. And as always, here are our picks for this week. We do have one Thursday game. Got to give them a shout out. ALA Anthem South got their first ever varsity win last week against Catalina Foothills, 28-26 in overtime. So congratulations to the Titans. And hey, come back next week and check out what we got for you guys.